I had such anger during the learning process. I think a lot of people might feel this way. I mean, we meet so many people in the work that we do who, once they find out that plant-based nutrition is an option, they're angry. Why didn't I know about this sooner? Why am I hearing about this on a YouTube video instead of my doctor? Why is this the first time? And of course I went through that. And I learned how to deal with anger and opposition through physical fitness. I became an indoor cycling instructor, which is probably one of the most aggressive things that you can do. And I turned, right, yeah, like I turned that into something where I'm now a teacher. I'm now leading people through a workout that I love, but I also have a drill that I call meditation on the bike. So not everything is about being angry. It's how to turn that passion into something positive and, use more sugar than anger. That was the art of communication that I started to realize, like, I have colleagues out here who are seeing the same thing I am in research. They're interested. I need to find these people. And this is a relatively new development in the last couple of years when I started speaking more, is I finally met colleagues that I felt like I could be myself with after spending years professionally working in clinics where I felt like I had to hide my personal choices. I was put in positions where I was being told that I couldn't tell people I had type 1 because I was making it about me. I mean, I had all kinds of opposition come my way, and I had to take that home and think about it. And it really kind of melted me for a while. How am I going to make it in this environment? But those are the things that helped me figure out how to communicate, where the right place to communicate was for me, who might actually want to hear my voice and my point of view. And my mentor taught me, if you can't reference the research with everything that you say, you might not want to say it. And that was really incredible advice, because that's when I knew, let me just make for certain that it's not my personal experience speaking over the top of research that backs me up. But luckily, there was a similarity. I could back up everything. The research did exist. It was there. And it's even stronger now. What we're seeing with microbiome, I mean, all of these things coming out, they're stronger and stronger and stronger, and the gift that fiber gives us. So anyway, I'm trailing off here, but the support is so important. And that's something I also see between type 1 and type 2, is that we are not that different when we start to talk about the things beyond insulin and nutrition that also bring value to our lives. Community. This is what we have at Mastering Diabetes. We have community, we have support. We're going to ask you how you're doing. It goes so above and beyond just the nutrition and the exercise, because this diagnosis is life-changing, it's altering, and it gets into our emotions, like the depth of diabetes. That is a big, big, big deal. And it may not be spoken about in an exam room, but it's there. Like the emotions are sitting on our chests sometimes. And we're not sure if we can talk
Absolutely.
about them.
Yeah.
We get into the dark and dirty at Mastering Diabetes, I think.
Oh, we sure do.
And we invite it.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. And, with a lot of the people that I've worked with, or our other coaches have worked with, a lot of times the the conversations about the fears, the frustrations, everything, the anger about why didn't somebody, I mean, that is a very common experience for a lot of people that we work with, that we talk to. People are just, it creates this, first of all, I think that anger is a natural emotion, and we're supposed to have that emotion. It's very protective for us. So when we're hearing something that's out of alignment with the things that we've been told, it's like our bodies naturally need a defense, right? Of like, wait a second, let's check this. Let's check into this. But also the anger is there to also move us forward, like you're saying, right? Like that anger also helps us to learn more or explore or get curious about something, and then you can move through the anger and into what's possible in the future. But for some people, that anger can really feel overwhelming. And, I remember feeling the same way, that when I first read the China study, that was my very first introduction to anything plant-based. And it was friends of mine were reading that book, and they were starting to explore plant-based diet for their own health purposes. And I read the book, and by like halfway through the book, I was literally like, what am I reading here? This research is so undeniable. It was so compelling. It was so clear that, you know, animal products were leading to bad health, right? Bad health outcomes in multiple ways through increased diabetes, increased cancer, obesity, all of those factors that, you know, are measures of health in a community. And it was so compelling to me that I practically went plant-based. It took me a few months, kind of like what you did. Like, you just started taking things out, but all of a sudden within the 3 month span, I was like, oh, I'm vegan now. I'm plant-based, you know, and this was in 2011. Um, and it was around the time that Forks Over Knives was becoming popular. And so people were, there were some new conversations taking place at that time. So I do think that was a time, 2011, 2012 was a big time for people to make that transformation. And, but I've heard, you know, again, I remember feeling that same feeling of like, why is this book not in every doctor's office everywhere? I worked in a hospital at the time, and I was talking with doctors and nurses about it, and they were looking at me like I had three heads. They were like, what are you talking about? Like, no, you can't be vegan. That's not healthy. I'm like, well, no, actually, it is. It's more healthy. Now, at the time, it took me some time to understand the difference between vegan and plant-based, or, you know, especially once I met Cyrus and started going down the path with him where he was teaching me about nutrition, you know, more in depth. I was always really excited about whole foods, but I also was, you know, exploring vegan alternatives at one point. So, but anyway, I think that those emotions, you know, help to drive us forward, help us to make new choices that we can learn about what feels good for us. And, you know, in our community, and again, like a lot of our members, a lot of our, everything that you were describing, I think a lot of people can really relate to in terms of once they turned on the green light eating, as we call it, right? All the green light activities, the green light eating, the energy goes up, the brain fog goes down, they have clarity in their mind, you know, you have clarity in your mind again. And there's really there's no replacement for that. Like there's no way to achieve that or achieve that feeling except to experience it, right? Like just having that experience can be is very compelling.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of us have met people, certainly if you've worked in any kind of an outpatient counseling health world, you can recognize when people have never actually felt healthy. They don't know what healthy feels like. And if you're a person that loves someone who you just want them to start making some changes with their health and you're watching this happen, any kind of a loved one, particularly a partner that you're so close with, is realizing, gosh, there's just some little things I wish I could see you do so you could just know what it feels like to be a little bit healthier. And that's something I really implore people to think about, especially standard American diet, fast food, lots of high fat, oily stuff. These foods do not work for the body. They work against the body. We get used to that because our human bodies are incredible. Our bodies will put up with an unbelievable amount of crap and somehow we get up the next day and survive, right? Like it's amazing. Like everything from people going on, major trips to breaking tons of bones in their body to smoking for 50 years. How do our bodies manage to get through that kind of stuff? And so realizing that, hold on a minute, if I actually do make some changes just to try to clean the system up a little bit, one thing at a time, going into the green certainly is one thing with food, but if someone is wearing a continuous glucose monitor, there's also this thing called time in range, and that bar graph is green. Increase that green. So I've got some clients where I talk about that with. We're looking green on a couple different levels here. We want more green time in range, more green with the food. These two things are going to work together.